thank you everyone for joining us today on the Brown Dad. My name is Rainer Gracias, and I'm here with our co-creator, Imran Syed. We've got a very, very interesting personality today with us, Mr. Mohamed Aleem, a director of a wellness company and a dad to two wonderful boys. Mr. Aleem, please say something about yourself.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. First of all, I wanted to thank Imran and yourself for inviting me and being part of this Brown Dad community. This is really great. Like you said, my name is Mohamed Aleem, and I have two amazing boys. I was born in India, moved to United States, I would say probably almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
So I started my life in US, moved to Boston, lived there and worked there for a few years, and then found this girl who's from Chicago. She's actually from India, but she lived in Chicago, and I got married to her, and that's how I ended up in Chicago. And I have two boys. Older one is 19, just turned 19. The younger one is 15. He actually turned 15 yesterday. So I work in a technology arena from last 20 years as a director of technology operations for a wellness company. I worked in different industries like pharmaceutical, financials, and retail industry, and then now in a wellness company. But yeah, no, I really enjoy what I do, and so that's about me.
Wow. Wow.
I love
That's
to play
quite,
tennis, by the way. Sorry.
yeah, that's quite a bit of stuff. That's quite a bit of stuff. And we've got today a one of our co-creators, Imran Syed. Imran, please say hi. Say something to our viewers.
Hello, everybody. Once again, thank you so much, Aleem. I would say Aleem Uncle out of respect because I've known him for a very long time. I think the first time I met him was in '97 or '96.
Yeah.
Right.
And to see your arc from India to Boston to now Chicago, it's a pleasure, right? It's a pleasure knowing you. As you know, every time we get together, it's always fun, and I hope to let the good times roll.
Likewise, Imran.
20 years is definitely a long time. You've seen definitely a lot of change. What was it like? What was it like 20 years ago coming to a different place, leaving your home?
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say a lot of lessons learned.
Right.
It showed me a good life experiences. So back when I was in India, always had a dream to come to the United States.
Right.
Um, Wanted to, make my career here. So my dad was the police commissioner, and most of my family members are in the police department. And but my family, especially my dad, he wants me to be like follow his
Police officer,
yeah,
right?
yes, as a police officer. So I finished my although my degree is not in the technology, but I finished my mechanical engineering diploma in mechanical engineering, and then I did my bachelor's in arts. And I wanted to pursue civil services, which is a really highly regarded services in India.
Right.
You could be a police officer, or you could be serving in administrative services as an
Right.
IAS.
Right.
So I started appearing for the test because obviously I wanted to fulfill my parents' dreams. That's what they
Right.
wanted to.
Right.
But my dream was always wanted to you know come to the United States.
Right.
So I attempted my civil services, didn't succeed. So anyway, decided to pursue my career in US. So I came here in 1998.
Wow.
So there's a lot of challenges, especially the culture itself was completely different.
Right.
Me, I always felt that people who were born and brought up here and people who migrated from a different country, there is
Right.
definitely a thought process difference in the thought process.
Right.
That's one thing, and the other thing is obviously the dialect was like, it took some time for me to adapt that.
Right.
So definitely there's a lot of challenges that I had in but yeah, I think my foundation that I have, what I went through back in India definitely helped me, that experiences, to
Right.
adapt myself as quickly and as fast as possible. So
And being able to resiliently survive whatever challenges come your way.
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it all comes down to that, the upbringing, and now switching gears a bit,
yeah.
talking about that upbringing, that relationship with your dad, and that candidacy to be having that lovely relationship. How was that growing up in that sphere?
Yeah, I really consider my dad, since from the childhood, as a superhero. Yeah, like every
Right.
every child.
Right.
But again, we do have, or when we think about how my relationship was, obviously there's always, we think that, man, I could have done something different, or if my dad would have done this, I
Right.
could have pursuing something different. But as far as a relationship from a personal loving between dad and son was
Right.
really amazing. Now
Right.
the other side of the relationship was, which is, maneuvering through, guiding through my career, could have been different. Um,
Right.
but again, I know after I coming here, after I lived here for so long, and then I realized that definitely there was no awareness on so many things with our
Right.
parents.
Right.
But again, overall, I think that helped me to understand how I can use those lessons learned,
Right.
kind of work with my child. This year I'm
Right.
saying, I think definitely helped me.
Definitely.
But overall, it was a great relationship with my dad.
Definitely.
One of the examples that I can give you is that I have a twin brother. We grew up playing tennis.
Wow.
Um, and since from childhood, like when I was 5 years old, we played tennis. We grew up playing on a Wilson wooden racket.
Right.
Um, I played with a lot of police officers, because we lived in a police
Right.
headquarters, had our own
Right.
personal tennis. I
Right.
grew up in a clay court.
Right.
But then the thing is that parents never coached us to take my sports as a career, because back in India, the
Right.
education was always the top priority, no matter how good
Right.
you are in sports.
Right.
After I came here, kind of
Right.
that helped me to say, it's a sports, it's a
Right.
career, is also an equally important as
Option.
your
Right.
education career. So
Right. 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 No, that definitely, definitely, and it's those experiences that actually give us a chance to define ourselves, and and this is something that I've discussed with Imran actually several times, about how it is that these types of decisions impact how it is that we raise our kids, right, Imran?
Yeah, like for instance, my son, he loves movies and story writing and drama. So I
yeah,
try to encourage that aspect as well. So he's enrolled in drama classes to explore that aspect as well.
yeah,
Like education is important at the same time, like growing up, as you said, like our parents, we didn't have that. It was
yeah,
just studies and that's it, right? And I see
yeah,
that with you as well, Ali Uncle. Like I know your elder one, he plays basketball and you've encouraged
yeah.
that for him to go into like basketball clinics and play for school and whatnot,
That's
right?
awesome.
So
Yeah.
that's impressive. I think you just got to be aware of what's around the circumstances, and then you just got to evolve.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think, as a brown dad, that's one thing that I have always struggled is with my dad, at least, trying to do what I wanted to do versus what they want me to do. So that was the biggest challenge, where I wanted to make sure that I fulfill what my dad and my mom, my parents want, to do.
Right.
And at the
Right.
same time, balancing that, how do I make sure that what I like to do, what I enjoy to do in my life. So
Right.
that's why you could never dedicate your percentage of your time, to either one of them. You kind of, by doing that balancing thing, you don't do any
Focused.
favor to, focus to any one of the goal. That's why most of the day, I say that, jack of all, master of none. I mean, so that kind of you end up in that situation.
Right.
But then after I came here, that gave me an ability to say, wait a minute, I really like the technology, so which helped me to go into the technology and kind of, build my career in the technology. And not only that, it as as a brown dad, you kind of, understand, what was that missing in your life, and then you kind of
Right.
take that and then work with your kids. And if my kids come to me, and the one most important thing that I struggled was that an openness, an open discussion, an open
Right.
conversation.
Right.
You can't have that back in India growing up. It's like,
Right.
you have to be really careful what you say. But today, my kid, he is he will walk up to me anytime he wants to. It's like an open door policy coming in. Hey, Dad, can I talk to you for a minute? Yeah, what's going on? I mean, either about what he's going through in his career, or about what he wants to be as who he wants to be for his life partner, or
Right.
whatever that is. It's an
Right.
open discussion.
Right.
So
Right. And that's actually a very important thing that you bring up, because that is exactly what it is that our entire platform is, from patriarchy to partnership. And that's what it is, because I mean, the partnership is not just with the co-parent, but even with the children, right?
yeah,
And having that partnership and raising them, because again, it's an unknown space even for us. We are all being parents, and no matter how many rule books and guidebooks, and everyone's unique in their own which way. So that definitely takes some legwork on our part. Now,
absolutely.
yeah. And Imran, did you have anything further to add to that before?
Just going back a bit, Ali Uncle, like, so how was it when you told your dad that you wanted to come to America? Like, was there some kind of like friction there, or because I know you mentioned he wanted you to go into policing, but now here you were just out of school, and now you wanted to move to Boston. So was that an easy process
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you?
yeah. No, I mean, definitely was not easy. There was several sleepless nights for myself to think about, to see how I can convince them, or what if they say yes, and what if it didn't work out? What if it worked out, and then would I be successful? There's so many things, that
Right.
went through in my mind. So, and then the other side of it is that once I, expressed myself that, hey, I wanted to do this, and then the pushback would be like, yeah, sure, you finish your graduation, you finish your master's, you finish your, then you can do it, So there's always that
Another hurdle.
the procrastination from their side was like, yeah, let's do this, because they also kind of, I really respect with my dad, always understands the feelings about their children, but at the
Right.
same time,
Yeah.
they wanted us to do what they want us to do, what they
The
like to do.
aspirations that they had for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, there's a lot of emotional drama that goes, because as a kids, we definitely don't want it to upset our parents. And then
Right.
as a parents, I've seen that they're not giving a direct response, but indirectly telling that, dude, I want you to do this, but not that. So
That's
yeah.
so true. That's so true. I'm glad you bring that up because it's very important to understand that as a parent, that control, although it's there, giving that child that ability to make that decision, creates a human being that is self-sufficient in the future, right?
Yeah,
Because and I think that's one thing as parents we all struggle with because we want to be that parent and eventually we're not going to be there. So that self-sufficiency is what we want to be able to pass on.
absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Now, in terms of this aspirations, now, what do you then see? What type of, sorry, I should have asked, what type of dad do you aspire to be in terms of, aside from the open communication, what is it that motivates you to be this type of a dad?
Yeah, yeah, no. It's once you start getting an awareness in your life, which is really important, you started thinking outside the box to see, what are the things that you wanted to do. It's one thing where when your kids are young and they think that your dad is a hero, and then
Right,
my that's where what I always be very cognizant about, that how do I make sure I keep that momentum going in my kids, be an
right,
example to them. Do you see what I'm saying? So
right,
and I don't want it to lose that confidence. I don't want them to lose the thought of what my dad can be able to do, that things like that.
right, right,
So that was always my fear. Like I wanted to always make sure that so those are some of the things that always encourage me, which is making sure that I am not only guiding them or giving them my experience, but also learning from them and showing it to them that, hey, I've learned something new from you. So
right,
making them proud of themselves, that
right.
how good they are. So those are some of the very critical things that I think always plays a great role. Like, for example,
Definitely.
when we go out for even this little things, as when we go out for dinner,
Right,
there is a always a tendency that your wife picks up or from the menu, or with dad picks up sometimes. You say,
right.
hey, Farzan or Afan, last time, remember when you told me about this? That was
Yeah.
really good. Why don't you pick some menu for us? And then
Right, right.
that so
You encourage
um
the decision making, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
giving the authority to them. How they say there's a different strokes for different folks,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
that's why. And I said, you know what? Every child is different. So
yeah.
sometimes there are some kids who are pretty easy, meaning they know what they wanted to do. They know exactly where they're heading. But then there are some kids who are amazing, but then they need some little push.
Little
They need
guidance or yes,
exactly little guidance, but at the same time we want to be very cautious about they don't feel that they have this flaw in there or something.
right,
So understanding myself as a dad, what my children needs or what my wife needs, how do I make sure that we make this as an A team. I think that kind of always motivates me, helps me to kind of be an amazing, or create an amazing A plus team with the kids and then the wife, and then kind of get going every day.
I love it. I love it. This
Yeah,
is amazing.
I
This,
like that A team reference.
yeah,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is amazing.
absolutely. When we go to
Definitely.
work,
Yeah,
as before I get off the car, I say, like, you know what, I kind of think myself, and then I say, before I open the door from the parking lot and before I enter my building, I said, it's showtime. And
Yeah,
why can't we do the same thing when we come home, and
right,
then before I enter my house, rather than thinking, oh my God, I'm so tired, or my kids are going to bother me. We should apply the same thing. And that's what I've learned in my lesson. Obviously, I've made so many mistakes, but I learned my lesson. When I come home from my work, I'm like, it's showtime, baby. So I get into my house and apply the same logic and be with the kids, like living that moment.
Right.
That's
Definitely. And it's time to enjoy it with them, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Now, and that I would assume then is what you see the ideal brown dad as. You've done that so beautifully. Like you've taken that entire piece and molded it so well to tell what it is that you see the ideal brown dad as.
Yeah.
Now, usually at this point in time, we wrap up and we start talking about this section is what I call the pearls of wisdom. So I have to ask, do you have any pearls of wisdom for our viewers?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I can just share what from my experience in my life, right? There is like Imran and you yourself said in the beginning of the conversation, so much has changed and continuously changing.
Right,
Um, how people are thinking, how technology is changing. Back in the days when I was in India, I didn't had any resources with me, meaning I didn't have an access to whatever I want to from a technology standpoint. But
right,
because today the kids have that access to, they can be able to access any good or bad thing on the internet. They
right,
can be able to go out with the friends, and again, I wanted to be very cautious. I support LGBT. I support the some because it's their personal preference. It's
right,
so what I my advice is that a lot of brown parents, especially when we come from a different background, but when we come in here to a different culture, wherever it is, here in the United
right,
States, Australia, you leave once you leave your roots and then you go
right,
to a different place, it's a completely different environment.
right,
What
right,
I would suggest is that you don't have to worry about it. Don't panic. Don't think too much that how I'm going to raise my kids here, or whatever. But what I suggest is that make sure that you spend time with your kids as much as possible. I know the money is important, but that's not the only important thing.
right.
Should I have seen making example as a 20 grand, I have the same ability or access to, versus when I make 10 grand. Yes, I
Mhm.
might not be able to afford things, but that amount of time that you're spending with your kid is an amazing investment that I have seen in my career, at least in my life. So,
Right,
so what I would suggest all brown parents out there is that please make sure that you spend as much time as possible, and make sure that not only spending time with them, nurturing them, but also making sure that if you are wrong, if you are right, I beg your pardon, if you are right, even though the kids sometimes whatever they say, just for a moment pretend yourself as wrong, let them be right, and let them, and then take that moment and then take a time to explain again later on to see how they can be able to change their thought process to think right. And this is a great investment. Again, spend
right,
your time with your kids as much as possible, and that once you lay that foundation out, I mentioned in the beginning of the conversation about people with the different class, like there are LGBT people, there are different kind of people out there. But once you lay your foundation with your kids, they know how exactly they want it to be. You don't have to worry about it. And again,
right,
whatever they want it to be, support them, help them, because
right,
that's the kids. Once you have a good foundation, they know exactly what they want it to be.
right.
They will protect themselves. And then I guess most of the parents, even today, I think, I take I try to control my kids inadvertently.
Right.
Um, but again, I guess you just have to let it go because you know that they will be in a good position. So anyway, I wanted to end that saying that so you don't have to worry about much as long as you laid a foundation good. I think you're good.
Definitely, definitely. And I think you said that very well. It is, as you said, creating around that A team and that partnership. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And speaking of partnership, Aleem Uncle, I've seen you interact with your kids, and I kid you not, when my son grows up, I want to be like you, how you are with your kids, just like a friend.
Yeah.
And it's a very amazing trait that you have, where even your sons just treat you as someone, like, just as a buddy,
Yeah.
right? It's not like a personal authority, but a person that they could go to and speak with.
Yeah.
And it's very amazing. And you're doing a good job. Great
Thank
job,
you.
actually.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. No, there's always a time where um, you don't, there's a disagreement, but as a mature person, you know how exactly you can be able to control that. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Well, that brings us to the close of our interview today. And I do have to thank our co-creator Imran Said for being on our interview today, and Mr. Ali Mohammed Aleem for being on our interview as well. I have to thank you for giving us your time and for giving us those lovely, lovely experiences, pearls of wisdom, and so much to look forward to and to inculcate in our lives.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here. And I wanted to thank you and Imran for giving me an opportunity. And I would love to come back again. So I wanted to wish you good luck for you guys in this initiative. I think this is a great
Thank you.
initiative.
Thank you, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank
Have
you.
it.
And I thank all our viewers for tuning in today at the Brown Dad. My name is Rainer Gracias, signing off. Have a good day.